will never happen.
It's my me time.
You don't have to worry.
This is what we call mirroring. So when you really, really like someone, you mirror their facial expressions, they mirror their voice tone. You can see them mirroring their hands on their head. It's just very comfortable, right? You start literally like channeling the other person. And this is when you know interaction is going well.
If I do have a family one day, that's something that I would want to incorporate.
You know, I actually think so far Kobe has really solid game from what I see, because he's literally like drawing it out of her and he's guiding her to reveal more about herself and then showing her that I could be the solution for you. So in terms of tactical game with his girl, I gotta say it's pretty on point.
I think that's someone I could definitely spend the next 3 weeks with.
Yeah. Situation where it's like, I'm going through this, I'm Miss Madeline, and this is the type of person who I think can just distract me for the next 3 weeks.
It's a good point. She's saying like, I don't want you to pick me because I'm a distraction. But that's interesting though. It has to be both of them at the same time, right? So what he should say is, well, I don't want you to also not be thinking about your ex-boyfriend when you're with me. Am I the right person for you? So that's the right response that he should say.
You know, choose me.
But I also want you to choose me too. Okay, it has to be, you have to play that little bit of dance.
Because you can actually see that we can benefit from each other and learn from each other.
I think the reason she's saying this, in addition to it being true, is that he just came off and like, hey, I picked you, right? It was a little too fast. It could have been like, hey, I can see myself picking you, but are you, like, and they qualify her for some things, but he just went straight up. So she's kind of like slowing him down a little bit. And that's what I'm seeing here.
You bring out the best in me, and that's what I want in my partner.
That's a very platitude line to say. You bring out the best in me. That's what I want. It's like something you say in a romantic comedy. So he just like, now he's becoming like Mr. Perfect, which is, I'm going to say the right thing at the right time. I would have said something like, yeah, totally, I understand where you're coming from. For me, are you also going to go in this knowing that I could be the one? Because I don't want you to just pick me because I like you so far, or like I picked you so far, right? So you should have challenged her and qualified her instead of trying to say the best thing possible.
So I'm giving you
my full heart. At this point, is too early. He just separated from his partner. They're not even separated. This is like, I love you so much. I'm gonna be with you for the rest of my life. We're gonna get married. So saying something that you don't quite mean. Sometimes girls fall for it. You can see their eyes like, oh, really? And they buy the fantasy. But I think with good game, you don't need to do that. I think it's a form of lying. I think with good game, you can just say what's the truth and still be able to say it in a way that creates that draw and that magnetism.
I will be there to make sure you at every given.
Oh, okay, so check it out. So it's a download bar, right? So it's like when a guy lays it on hard, right? Even if it's like platitude or like cliche, the girl will be like, okay, do I believe him? Do I believe him? Do I believe him? But it's like a pushy sales guy. After a certain point, she breaks and she's like, okay, I choose to believe you. So the reason that guys do that is that sometimes it works, right? To me, it's not good game, because good game would be like, yo, here's the truth. And I'm going to stick to as close to the truth as possible. And I'm going to qualify you instead of like, you're so beautiful, you're my wife, I'm going to give you my whole heart, I'm going to be like, yo, I'm actually, 2 days ago, I was just with my partner. I'm going to attempt to see where my heart's at and give it to you if it's there. But I also want you to do the same for me, right? Because we're both in this experiment. So I would have qualified her harder while giving her my perspective instead of just laying it on thick. When you lay it on thick like this, you get past the initial barrier. But then later on, when they find out that you don't mean it, it creates a lot of resentment. So to me, good game is every step of the way, you're congruent with who you are. Therefore, there's no resentment, right? Unless there's something seriously wrong with that person, they see bad in everybody. But really, it's a congruency in the truth of how you speak your truth. And I think this will be a problematic thing later on.
Beautiful girl in the world, but you are absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
She's giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I can see in her face like there's some hesitation in the micro expressions. So I'm not sure she's completely bought in. Obviously, the producers of the show want to make this romantic, so they're playing like nice music and stuff. But I think there's hesitation there.
Sexy and this like low key, like you just
all the spots.
in all the spots.
Such a long time.
Yeah.
And it just feels so natural, and I think that's like why we mesh so well.
Okay, so I know. Okay, all right. She's missing some of that sexual chemistry, and that's why her language is, the innuendos are coming up. And you notice how the conversation is like Randall's trying to have a logical conversation, kind of, and she's like making innuendos, right? So there's something that she's missing, obviously, in her relationship. A normal girlfriend wouldn't be making that many sexual innuendos. Some people aren't getting sex, so they feel frustrated, or some people are not sexually compatible with their partner. And when that's one of the compatibility things you should definitely screen for before you get into a relationship, because that's like one of the most important things about a relationship.
Here for you.
This guy Hunter is like a nice, accommodating guy. So I think again, something in his past or his childhood has made him this way. Perhaps if one parent needed taken care of. Perhaps he was given love based on his ability to support his parents who should have supported themselves. Something happened where he's like this. It's not a bad trait, but it can be bad in extremes when he's super accommodating to a partner and not really speaking his truth.
And it's nice to have someone do it for you too, you know?
Look, in the beginning, everyone's gonna listen. Everyone's like, they're not tired of you yet, okay? When you get to that part of the relationship where you have nothing else to talk about, that's when you know if you should be together. So she's grateful for that because she's been with a partner that perhaps she felt like wasn't listening to her. But at the same time, it's too early to say this guy listens to me because he just met you. Every guy who just met you who hasn't gotten in there yet is pretending like he's listening. Okay, ladies, just so you know.
About what Jake wants walking out of here, and that scares the hell out of me. You were scared as hell to come on this.
April talks a lot. She's very expressive. And then her boyfriend, I think Jake, is the opposite of that. Can't really tell what he's thinking.
It just so happens that that one thing for me is huge and all-encompassing. Having kids and...
Yeah, so he's not hearing her, right? So he's like, this is the most important thing and you're not ready. But he never stopped to ask her, what does having kids mean to you? What are you scared of when you have kids? Is it me, or would you have kids with the right person? So he's not diving deeper. He just kind of like, this is what I want. She doesn't fit into the picture. He's thinking of it as a business problem, but it's a relationship problem. So you need to go deeper.
I want to marry Alexis. I love you so much. And you talked about clarity, and you talked about one.
You know, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know what this guy's thinking. I haven't seen him behind the scenes, but I mean, it could be real. I just can't tell. I can't tell because he seems so accommodating. He's one of those, in my opinion, he's one of those guys just says, you know, he'll do what it takes to make other people happy, but you don't quite know what makes him happy.
This experience was for Hunter to have 100% certainty.
I'd be really curious to ask Hunter what is it about Alexis that he's drawn to, right? And I think that answer will be really illuminating as far as how his mental map of the world works.
If Lauren chooses Colby and they end up living together for the 3 weeks...
That's a pretty aggressive micro-expression, right? It's almost like a sneer. To some extent, it's normal to feel kind of threatened or like insecure or jealous when your partner could be spending 3 weeks with another person. But this is quite an aggressive micro-expression.
It's that I don't have a family without you. And as long as I spend the rest of my life with you, that's all I want.
So you can see, I don't know if you guys know how to read micro-expressions, but there's a little bit of fear in that smile. So whenever you take action out of fear, right? We saw a recent incident with Will Smith. Things tend not to go out well because you're letting the fear lead your actions. So I believe that this particular proposal or engagement is driven by a fear of losing out or being alone rather than a confirmation that she's the right person for him. It's unfortunate, but sometimes when you're in love with someone, we want to believe the fantasy, and so we kind of go along with that. You know, you see this in dating too. You see guys like, hey, I want to marry you, or like, I could see you as my future wife, and then they get laid, and then they never call the girl back again, right? It's a form of manipulation. It's a mating strategy, but it's definitely a form of manipulative mating strategy. I don't teach my clients that. I think it's one of the most cowardly things to do, but it's a reality. People do it. So the only thing I can do is teach my clients to be aware of it and to be careful of guys or women who do that, right? Women who do that, like, I promise you sex or da-da-da-da-da, but really they never give it up, or they use sex to get something from him. So it's a mating strategy based on manipulation.
It's preventing you
So back to what
from
you were saying,
experiencing something.
Colby,
So-
back to what you were saying. Some serious shit with you guys, and I just want
I like this girl because she's expressive. She's just calling everyone out on their BS. I like that.
to know if your significant other is the person you're walking out of here with. Some of you really need to go through this experience.
She's right. So I don't even know if this is scripted, but she's basically saying, look, you guys came here for a reason, and you're betraying the truth of the reason that you came here, which is to find out for real, like, is your partner going to leave you for someone else? Is there a better match, right? Which is the purpose of this experience. So she's speaking truth here, and you can see everyone's quiet because when the truth is spoken, that forcefully, that authentically, it's hard to speak against that.
Real? I don't think that engagement was real.
Of course it wasn't real. Come on.
You told me 10 minutes before proposing that you were gonna choose me.
Oh. That's messed up, bro. So look, if I was Lauren and I heard that, like, that's insane, right? So she's saying, basically, this guy has no morals, no guts. He's a guy who wants to win. He's maybe a business owner. He's trying to win the game at any cost, right? And when you do that, you lose, because you lose your integrity, I feel like.
Because 1 week in, he's feeling a connection with somebody, and I'm letting him run with that. It's like if you...
Yeah, she's right. She's letting him be free, right? If you love someone, let them go. And if they're right for you, they will come back. And it's the hardest thing to do, especially when you're in love. It takes courage to actually do that. And, it's hard for me even, so.
As to what I 100% want in my future, and not based off of what everyone wants me to have.
This guy Rando, I mean, I think he's like 26, but I think he's like the most mature guy of the whole group, in my opinion. Just the way he talks about things seems very well thought out. Anyway, so that's it for episode 1 and 3. What do we learn? Love is hard sometimes. Relationships can be difficult if you don't know how to communicate properly with your partner, and that you shouldn't take action based out of fear. You should try to let inspiration guide you whenever possible, and really take a moment to process the positive and negative emotions that come with love and relationships. When you recognize these patterns, you hopefully fall in love with the right people. And even if it doesn't work out, at least the person's intentions are good and you learn something. But when you fall in love with the wrong person, or when you end up in a toxic relationship, the pain can be quite real and the trauma could stay. At the same time, sometimes some people need that lesson. They need to fall down and to learn how to get back up. If you want to get into a healthy relationship, if you want to have options before you get into a relationship, so you know you can properly assess the right person and you know how to talk to women in the right way, so you don't end up like some of these couples, check out the links in my description, where I teach you how to have great first dates, where I teach you how to have good style, where I teach you how the social skills to be able to communicate clearly, authentically, accurately, magnetically, attractively, so that whether you're single or not, whether you're in a relationship or you're looking for the next one, you know how to express yourself the best way possible, the most honest way possible, but within the context of attraction and connection that actually gets you results in dating. Okay? I hope you got a lot of value out of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.